Hong Kong doesn't just serve food, it tells its story through every bite. Around every corner, you'll find flavors shaped by decades of tradition, fast-paced city life, and generations of passionate cooks. In this film, we're exploring 19 unforgettable street foods that locals swear by and visitors can't stop talking about. No luxury dining, no reservations, just steaming stalls, hidden alleyways, bustling markets, and the authentic tastes that make Hong Kong one of the world's greatest street food cities. 1. Curry fish balls, the city's heartbeat snack. If there's one snack that captures the spirit of Hong Kong, it's curry fish balls. You'll spot them everywhere, simmering in large metal pots filled with rich, golden curry sauce that fills the air with an irresistible aroma. The fish balls gently roll in the bubbling broth, soaking up layer after layer of flavor while vendors expertly serve one order after another without missing a beat. A few are skewered onto a bamboo stick, coated in steaming curry, and handed over ready to eat on the move. The first bite is wonderfully springy, with a satisfying chew that gives way to a bold burst of curry that's savory, mildly spicy, and just slightly sweet. It's simple food, but somehow unforgettable. What makes curry fish balls special isn't just the taste, it's who eats them. Students after class, office workers on lunch breaks, and curious visitors all gather around the same humble stall. For just a few dollars, you're tasting one of Hong Kong's most beloved everyday traditions. 2. Siu mai on a skewer. Soft, salty, perfect. Right beside the bubbling curry fish balls, you'll usually spot another Hong Kong favorite, street-style siu mai. Unlike the delicate dim sum served in restaurants, these dumplings are made for life on the move. They sit steaming in metal trays until the vendor lifts the lid, releasing a cloud of fragrant steam filled with the aromas of soy sauce, sesame, and freshly cooked dumplings. With quick, practiced hands, a few are threaded onto a skewer and finished with soy sauce, chili oil, or both. The first bite is soft, tender, and pleasantly springy, with a rich, savory flavor and just enough spice to keep things interesting. Before you know it, the skewer is empty and ordering another feels like the most natural decision in the world. 3. Chung fun. Silky rice rolls in a paper tray. At first glance, chung fun doesn't seem like anything extraordinary. It's simply soft white rice noodle rolls served in a small tray. But stand by the stall for a few minutes, and you'll see why this humble dish has become one of Hong Kong's everyday favorites. The process is almost mesmerizing. The cook pours a thin layer of rice batter onto a steaming metal tray, waits just long enough for it to set, then carefully lifts the delicate sheet with metal scrapers. In one smooth motion, it's folded, placed into a serving tray, and snipped into bite-sized pieces with a pair of scissors. Then comes the finishing touch. A generous drizzle of sweet soy sauce, rich hoisin, a splash of chili if you like a little heat, and a sprinkle of toasted sesame seeds transform something simple into something unforgettable. The texture is what people remember most. Smooth, silky, and incredibly soft. Each bite almost melts on your tongue. 4. Egg waffles. Little eggs from a paper bag. No visit to Hong Kong feels complete without trying its most iconic sweet treat. Egg waffles, known locally as Gai Dan Jai. Their signature honeycomb shape is impossible to miss, with rows of golden, puffed-up bubbles that have become a symbol of the city's street food culture. Making them is part of the experience. The batter is poured into a special cast-iron mold, which is flipped over an open flame until the outside turns beautifully crisp, while the inside stays soft and airy. When the mold opens, the fresh waffle is folded into a paper sleeve and handed over, still warm. The best way to eat it is one bubble at a time. Each piece has a delicate, crisp shell that gives way to a light, fluffy center with a gentle vanilla and egg flavor that's comforting rather than overly sweet. There's something wonderfully nostalgic about it. Simple, warm, and fun to eat, egg waffles have a way of making people smile, whether they're tasting them for the first time or the 100th. 5. Pineapple bun. Sweet crust, no pineapple. The pineapple bun, or bolo bao, is one of Hong Kong's most beloved bakery treats, and despite its name, it doesn't contain any pineapple. The name comes from its beautifully cracked golden crust, which resembles the rough skin of the fruit after baking. Fresh from the oven, the bun is impossible to resist. The top is crisp, sweet, and delicately crumbly, while the inside remains incredibly soft and pillowy. Every bite offers a perfect contrast of textures that has kept locals coming back for generations. Many bakeries take it one step further by slicing the bun open and slipping in a thick slice of cold butter. As the butter slowly melts into the warm bread, it creates an unforgettable combination of sweet, salty, creamy, and rich flavors. This isn't just something people grab to satisfy their hunger. It's comfort food in its purest form. A simple bakery classic that brings a little happiness with every bite and reminds you why Hong Kong's food culture is so deeply loved. 6. Hong Kong milk tea. Strong, smooth, serious. Street food in Hong Kong isn't only about what you eat, it's also about what you drink. Few beverages are as deeply connected to the city's identity as Hong Kong milk tea. Whether you're standing at a roadside stall or sitting in a tiny neighborhood cafe, chances are you'll see someone enjoying a cup. The process is simple but surprisingly precise. Strong black tea is brewed until it's rich and bold, then strained several times through a cloth filter to create its signature smooth texture. Finally, evaporated milk is added, giving the tea its deep caramel color and unmistakably creamy finish. The first sip is memorable. The tea arrives with a bold, slightly bitter flavor that quickly softens into a rich, velvety sweetness. It's comforting without being overly heavy, strong enough to wake you up, yet smooth enough to drink every day. More than just a beverage, Hong Kong milk tea is part of the city's daily rhythm. It's the drink people reach for before work, during lunch, or while catching up with friends. A timeless tradition served one cup at a time. 7. Stinky tofu, the brave person's reward. Stinky tofu is one of those foods that dares you to step outside your comfort zone. Long before you spot the stall, its bold, fermented aroma drifts through the street, turning heads and dividing opinions. Some people keep walking, while others can't resist finding out what all the fuss is about. The tofu is carefully fermented, then deep fried until the outside becomes wonderfully crisp, while the center stays soft and creamy. It's usually served with tangy pickled vegetables and a spoonful of chili sauce. The first bite is intense, but give it a moment. The crunchy crust, silky tofu, sharp pickles, and gentle heat come together in a surprisingly balanced way. It's a flavor you won't forget, and one many people end up craving again. 8. Beef offal, everything in one bowl. Beef offal, known locally as ngao jop, is one of those dishes that tells you everything about Hong Kong's food culture. It's honest, practical, and built on the belief that every part of an animal deserves a purpose. There are no shortcuts here, just generations of tradition passed from one pot to the next. At the stall, a large pot gently simmers with tripe, tendons, intestines, stomach, and other cuts, all slowly cooking in a deeply seasoned broth filled with herbs and spices. The vendor carefully selects a mix of pieces for each bowl, knowing that every cut brings a different texture and flavor. That's what makes the experience so memorable. One bite is tender, the next is pleasantly chewy, another rich and almost buttery. Every mouthful feels different, yet everything is tied together by the same rich, savory broth. This isn't the kind of meal you rush through. It asks you to slow down, appreciate every bite, and understand a tradition where nothing is wasted and incredible flavor is found in places many people would never expect. 9. Fishball noodle soup, comfort in plastic bowls. Walk through the streets of Kowloon and before long you'll find a humble noodle stall with steam rising into the air and locals gathered around bowls of fishball noodle soup. It's not flashy, but that's part of its charm. Thin egg noodles are cooked in seconds, topped with springy fish balls, then finished with a ladle of fragrant broth, fresh scallions, and a touch of soy sauce or chili oil. The first spoonful is pure comfort. The broth is light but full of flavor, the noodles are perfectly firm, and the fish balls are soft, tender, and satisfyingly bouncy. It's a simple meal that captures Hong Kong perfectly. Warm, affordable, and quietly satisfying. 10. Wonton noodles, floating pockets of flavor. Wonton noodles are more than just another bowl of noodles in Hong Kong. They're a tradition that generations have grown up with. At first glance, the portion may seem surprisingly small, but don't let its size fool you. Every ingredient is carefully balanced, and every bite is packed with flavor. A nest of thin, springy noodles rests beneath delicate wontons, their translucent wrappers revealing plump shrimp, seasoned pork, or a combination of both. The broth looks clear and simple, yet it's the result of hours of careful preparation, developing a rich depth that's both light and deeply satisfying. As you lift a wonton with your chopsticks, the wrapper gently trembles before giving way to a juicy filling. The shrimp remains firm and sweet, the pork tender and savory, while the silky wrapper almost melts away. It's the kind of meal that doesn't need bold spices or dramatic presentation. Instead, it wins you over with balance, craftsmanship, and quiet confidence. After one bowl, it's easy to understand why locals happily travel across the city for their favorite wonton noodles. 11. Clay pot rice. Rice with fire memory. Clay pot rice is proof that some of the best meals simply can't be rushed. In Hong Kong, rows of clay pots sit over open flames, each one slowly building layers of flavor through time and patience. Rice goes in first, followed by toppings like Chinese sausage, marinated chicken, or preserved meats, while the chef listens carefully for the gentle crackle that signals the bottom is turning perfectly crisp. When the pot reaches your table, a splash of soy sauce and a quick stir bring everything together. The top layer is light and fluffy, the middle is rich with savory juices, and at the bottom lies the real reward, a thin, golden crust that's smoky, crunchy, and packed with flavor. It's a simple dish, but one unforgettable bite explains why generations of Hong Kong locals keep coming back. 12. Charcoal grilled skewers. Night market signal. As the sun goes down, Hong Kong's night markets come alive, and the smoky aroma of charcoal-grilled skewers fills the air. Before you even see the stall, the scent of sizzling meat and spices is enough to pull you in. The grill is loaded with chicken wings, pork, squid, mushrooms, tofu, and more, each skewer carefully turned over glowing coals. The vendor brushes on savory sauces, adds chili and cumin, and watches the fire closely, giving every bite a perfect hint of char. Grab a paper tray and wander through the market, sampling one skewer after another. Some are juicy, some crisp, others smoky and spicy, but together they capture the lively spirit of Hong Kong after dark. 13. Street Siu Yuk. Roast pork with crackling. Siu Yuk, or Cantonese roast pork, is one of those foods that instantly grabs your attention. Walk past a street-side roast meat shop, and you'll see slabs of pork hanging behind glass, their golden skin gleaming under the lights. It's a display that's almost impossible to ignore. When you place an order, the butcher lifts a section onto the chopping block and begins slicing with quick, practiced strokes. The sound of the cleaver is part of the experience, echoing through the stall as perfectly sized pieces are prepared. What makes Siu Yuk so special is its texture. Every piece is built in layers. On top sits the famous crackling skin, crisp enough to shatter with a bite. Beneath it is a thin layer of rich, flavorful fat, followed by juicy, tender meat that stays remarkably moist. The contrast is incredible. Crunchy, savory, rich, and satisfying all at once. It's simple food, but executed so well that one bite usually leads to another. 14. Roast duck rice. Glossy comfort. Roast duck rice is one of those everyday meals that perfectly captures the spirit of Hong Kong. Walk through almost any neighborhood, and you'll spot beautifully roasted ducks hanging behind glass, their deep mahogany skin glistening under warm lights and drawing people in without a word. When you order, the vendor brings one down with practiced ease, chops it into neat pieces, and lays it over a bed of steaming rice. A handful of fresh greens and a spoonful of rich roasting juices complete the bowl. Then comes the first bite. The skin is lightly crisp and full of flavor, while the meat stays tender, juicy, and wonderfully rich. Every drop of duck fat and sauce soaks into the rice beneath, making each mouthful even more satisfying than the last. It's simple, comforting food that proves the best meals don't need to be complicated to be unforgettable. 15. Egg tarts. Flaky shells, soft centers. Walk past a neighborhood bakery in Hong Kong, and it's almost impossible not to notice the egg tarts lined up in the window. Their golden tops catch the light, glowing like little suns and drawing people inside before they even realize they're hungry. Fresh from the oven, the aroma of butter, sugar, and warm pastry drifts onto the street. Each tart begins with either a flaky, delicate crust or a rich, shortbread-style shell, holding a silky egg custard that's smooth, glossy, and just firm enough to keep its shape. The first bite says everything. The pastry crumbles gently, giving way to a warm, creamy filling that's lightly sweet with a subtle hint of vanilla. It's soft without being heavy, rich without being overwhelming. There's nothing flashy or complicated about an egg tart, and that's exactly why people keep coming back. It's simple, comforting, and beautifully made. A small treat that has quietly become one of Hong Kong's most loved everyday traditions. 16. Turnip cakes, pan-fried squares of comfort. On busy street corners across Hong Kong, you'll often find a hot griddle covered with sizzling turnip cakes. They may look simple at first, but the aroma quickly tells you there's something special happening. Made with grated white radish, rice flour, dried shrimp, Chinese sausage, and scallions, each cake is pan-fried until both sides are beautifully golden and crisp. Cut into one and the contrast is instantly satisfying. A crisp, lightly browned exterior giving way to a soft, tender center, packed with savory bites. Whether it's breakfast, a midday snack, or a late-night craving, turnip cakes are humble comfort food that locals never seem to tire of. 17. Beef brisket noodle. Slow time in a fast city. Beef brisket noodles started as a humble meal for hard-working people, but today they're one of Hong Kong's true comfort food classics. The brisket is slowly simmered for hours in a rich broth of soy sauce, herbs, spices, and sometimes a touch of dried tangerine peel, creating layers of flavor that only time can produce. When the bowl arrives, it looks simple: tender beef, springy noodles, fresh greens, and a dark, fragrant broth. But the first bite tells the real story. Silky and packed with slow-cooked richness. Even with the city rushing around you, this is the kind of meal that naturally makes you slow down and savor every spoonful. 18. Hong Kong-style French toast. Indulgence on the grill. Step into a traditional cha chan teng, and you'll quickly realize Hong Kong-style French toast is much more than a simple snack. Thick slices of bread, often filled with creamy peanut butter or fragrant kaya jam, are dipped in egg and pan-fried until the outside turns beautifully golden and crisp. Served fresh off the pan, it's topped with a melting slab of butter and finished with golden syrup or sweet condensed milk. Cut into it, and the warm filling blends with the butter to create something irresistibly rich. Every bite is crisp on the outside, soft in the middle, and packed with sweet, nutty flavor. It's indulgent, messy, and impossible to eat in a hurry. You don't order this because you're watching calories. You order it because, for a few delicious minutes, Hong Kong serves comfort on a plate. 19. Street soy desserts, tofu pudding, and more. We'll end with one of Hong Kong's gentlest street food traditions, soy desserts. After all the bold flavors, sizzling grills, and rich broths, a warm bowl of silky tofu pudding or a cup of fresh soy milk feels like the city's way of slowing everything down. At a small neighborhood stall, the vendor carefully scoops delicate tofu from a large metal pot into waiting bowls. The pudding is so soft it trembles with every movement. A light drizzle of sugar syrup, sometimes infused with fresh ginger, is all it needs. The first spoonful is wonderfully simple. It's smooth, delicate, and only lightly sweet, allowing the natural flavor of soy to shine through. The texture almost melts away, leaving behind a quiet sense of comfort rather than richness. In a city celebrated for bold tastes and endless energy, this humble dessert offers something different. These 19 street foods aren't just snacks. They're a map of how Hong Kong eats when nobody is posing for a photo. Standing, walking, talking, resting between shifts. Every skewer, bowl, and paper bag carries a piece of the city's story. Its history, its density, its love of comfort, and its refusal to waste flavor. If you come to Hong Kong and you want to understand it through taste, start here, at the curry pots, steamers, griddles, and stalls, where life is cooked a few bites at a time. The restaurants will impress you. The street food will stay with you.